Hi everyone, Matt Bernier, Dan Illman taking a look back at the closing day feature down at Santa Anita Park. The 1 mile autumn miss for 3-year-old fillies on the turf course. Lowell was coming in from coming into Southern California for the East Coast for Christophe Clement. She took plenty of money in this spot and she did not disappoint. So they break from the gate. You're going to notice she is forwardly placed, pressing let's call it an overmatched long shot, a 92-1 shot to be exact, and almost Carla. But I got to be honest, look at these fractions, 22 and 145. They are winging it.
They're winging it, but Flavien Prat understands that the one you want to be outside is a 92-1 shot. And Lull is a horse that likes to be forwardly placed. Going into this race, the question was, how would she see out the mile? I think you and I were both a little bit dubious. It was no problem for her.
And even if we were dubious and we were proven wrong here, I still wonder if her better distances are at 7/8 of a mile and 6.5 and those other distances. But neither here nor there. In this instance, keep in mind, she's tracking a 90-1 shot and the horse chasing her is 30-1. She's in a beautiful position right now.
No matter what the fractions are, and they'll stop the half mile in 45 and they'll step 3/4 in 108 and 2, but still, you know it's just a matter of time before this 92-1 shot gives way and Lull inherits the lead. The question after that is, who's coming to get her?
And unfortunately for some folks that backed some of the other logical runners in here, most notably Tapped, and I know you like Tapped in the spot, the problem is you are just so far behind this filly at this point. Doesn't matter how fast you come home, you're not going to catch her.
Tapped must have come home in 45 seconds flat, and we'll see her flying on the far outside, but you can't give up 12 lengths and 1/4 of a mile to a nice horse like Lull and expect to run her down. We're seeing a horse now in the purple silks getting to the outside. That's chocolate coated. Once she gets in the clear, it seems like she's running a little bit, but it's not like a lot of horses are running a lot. Here comes Tapped on the far outside. Here comes Kathy's Song down towards the rail. They're flying, but they run out of ground.
They run out of ground because Lull continues on, gets that final quarter in 24 seconds. May not sound all that sexy, but considering you went 22 and change for those other quarters, you get the job done. She pays $6.40 on top, chocolate coated, $9 to place. Storm the Hill, $5 to show, $1 exacta, $29.40, 50-cent trifecta, $101.70. Lull is a very, very talented horse here for Christophe Clement. Came in from the East Coast, 8 times in the money from 11 lifetime starts, just a shade under $700,000 in career earnings, 4 victories for the Claiborne folks. All the connections there. Warfront out of a Tis Now mare, Flavien Prat with the ride. And you brought it up. It's a situation, it doesn't really matter how fast they were going. If the horses around you are all just vastly overmatched and inferior, you're in a pretty good spot.
She's a nice grade 3, grade 2 type, as we saw in the stretch. You know, for a brief second, she was a little bit green with her lead changes. She changed for a stride or two to her left lead and then right back to her right. But that's kind of her throughout her career. Boy, I'd keep her in Southern California.
100%.
I think she's very comfortable at the mile. I think these hard tracks really play to her advantage and helped her get the mile in this spot. But you never know. Clement is based, of course, on the East Coast. She might get a break. She might be retired. She's got a beautiful pedigree and a graded stakes win. But like you, I like her at 6.5 and 7. And boy, as long as Kentucky Downs keeps putting up these big purses, I'd be back next year.
94 buyer. I mean, there's a part of me that thinks not only, obviously, she's now capable at a mile in Southern California, but boy, down the hill, why couldn't she enjoy that as well? Because like you said, those sort of middle distances, she has, the good thing about Lull, she's already proven at a track like Kentucky Downs. She's a little bit quirky. Guess what? Down the hill at Santa Anita, a little bit quirky. I think she has a lot of things going for her again if they choose to keep her in training.
No, I think she has a lot of options, and again, she can be forward.
Yeah.
Unlike a horse like Tapped, unlike a horse like Kathy's Song, she can be forward every time they face each other. She's going to take the lead on these horses and dare them to run them down. And in that situation, it was simply tactics. Prat understood. This horse didn't exactly break so sharp. She was probably 4th out of the gate, but he understood Prat. Let's get into that spot. Let's get off of this horse, and at some point, we're going to be in front.
And no disrespect to any of the other fillies, but Tapped is the one that I think we need to discuss, because at a certain point, when does it become a problem that you just always, you come with just an unbelievable finish, but if you've got too much to make up and too much work to do, well, I mean...
And they can't be going any faster than they did in this race. They can't be going faster, couldn't be going any faster than they did in the prior race, going 6.5, where she came from far back with a similar late run. We're getting to the point where I think Richard Baltas is trying to figure out exactly what's Tapp's best game. Is she a down-the-hill turf sprinter? Is she a miler? Does she want more ground? And I think he's going to eventually figure it out, but I thought the whole point of putting the blinkers on Tapped at least was to get her a little bit forward. It got her more focused, which is one of the 2 things the blinkers will do. I thought it would get her a little bit more forward, and that's just not the case.
Spin Me a Kiss, a horse that you're mildly intrigued by?
I'm intrigued by her because this is the second race in a row now where she was close to a fast pace and at least was punching it out a little bit at the end. She didn't completely quit. I think she's okay. I think you get her in a race going down the hill where she can either control the pace or be close to moderate splits. She's a price play.
Miss Southern Miss was a horse that I was very intrigued with in this spot. She never picked her feet up at any point. You have to wonder now, is it just a matter of, she was gone for a long, long time. Do you think that kind of took it out of her?
Well, I wonder if that was the case, or I wonder if maybe a nagging injury showcased itself one more time, because she's not supposed to be this bad, especially considering the way the pace set up. I think we have to talk about Meadow Sweet. This was her first start in, what, 2+ months.
While, yeah.
She's always had a good amount of ability, but she's the horse that needs to be forward, and I can certainly understand why Evan Roman really wasn't interested in going after these horses off the layoff and going 45. This might be not a bad prep race for her down the road. I actually want to see her stretch out.
We'll see what happens with Meadow Sweet, but in this spot, Lull, we know what her game is. Shorter to middle distances. She's got big speed, nice tactical ability for Christophe Clement. Flavien Prat rode her beautifully here. When they win the autumn miss, and she earns a 94 buyer in doing so.